Hello from Hawaii in Alliteration Alley.
Alliteration Alley?
Yeah,
Is that a real place?
and I just made it up.
No. Hello from
Um,
I don't know, Worcester,
although
Mikasa. Did we lose you?
for some reason my internet's been a little weird. But yeah, I don't know where you're from. I teleported. Where did you go? I'm back in Holyoke.
Mikasa.
I mean, God,
It's
Mikasa.
it's a new the new vacation destination hotspot.
Yeah, Mikasa.
Mikasa Mexicana.
Oh. That's funny. I was yesterday while we were working on this pitch deck, Caleb and I were talking about alliteration alley. Yeah, we were talking about doing like because when we do these live streams, when we talk less about real estate, they're oddly more successful.
Yeah.
So more people pay attention. Welcome to Find That Flip. Today we're talking about absolutely nothing. But what if we did what if we had like a 30-minute like live stream like this podcast thing between the two of us, but we focused on like a word of the day. So, acquisition, for example. And then we could have people come in and they could just talk about like, we could have randos come in, but we could also have professionals come in that, give experience, like talking about acquisitions, for example. And then it's just kind of a more informal podcast where we're literally just taking questions in the chat and talking. And instead of, it's a loose topic, but it has some flow.
Yeah. Are you not going to do the words of the day? The other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Just do both.
Oh yeah. It's just everything.
Yeah,
it's just more reach.
Yeah, you can't do less. I mean, what was it? Like you can't do too much. That's like you can't repeat yourself enough. Like Alex Hormozi, I keep repeating myself. You need to be reminded more than you need to be taught.
Yes. And that the new slide deck, like our acquisition process at a glance, like each one of those little like 4 or 5 things in the line, that's like an individual post. And you have different hello Samuel, you have different like sounding people, and have like a variety, but like that slide deck could turn into gosh knows how many posts. And now it's just a great like targeting campaign, but it's also just this like wash of professional push.
Yeah, I needed to be reminded today. Stanners 2014, shout out.
Look at that, shout it out.
I need to be reminded today. We've been revamping our lease and just adding to it, making it more clean and crisp, and just trying to apply. Like we had a pretty good lease, to be honest, and just need to be reminded of like, oh yeah, like this thing I need to add to the lease, or this thing I want to make sure we clarify. And I put together like poor Matt on our team, he's gonna import it to DocuSign and add in the signatures. I think I've sent him since this.
He's watching right now.
Oh, is he? Nice. I think I sent him like 5 versions already today when I kept adding things in. Shout out to Matt, who reminded me to. He was like, now we just need a section for verbal abuse. I'm like, yeah, right. We did need a section for verbal abuse because I ain't tolerating this shit no more.
That's why you live in a blue state, so you can add lines like verbal abuse to your lease.
Who would have thought? And then I'm listening to a founder's podcast yesterday on Todd Graves, the founder of Raising Cane's. Shout out to Great Chicken Fingers at Raising Cane's, and
they are really
Massachusetts. But his first, he financed his first 28 like additional expansions. He would take $250,000 from an angel investor and then use that to leverage like another $1 million from the bank or something. But he had a 1-page contract. Like I guess part of like in the show, and like I assume this is true, and the guy who does the podcast has done his research, which he's really good. Get the spam out of here. Extended call. But he 1-page he wanted it. He's like, it's not going to be any more than a 1-page contract. So we have a 30-page lease to rent a $1,500 a month apartment. He had a 1-page contract for $250,000 from an angel investor.
That's sick. Gotta love the simplicity. Back in the very beginning, our contracts were very, simple.
Well, you don't need them to be long until they need to be. I didn't think I needed to put a stipulation in that you can't verbally abuse, the landlord or their any third-party vendors that represent the landlord, or it could be deemed a violation of the lease and grounds for termination. I didn't think we would need to put that in there until we experienced it. Too.
Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough. Shout out to all the customer service people out there dealing with customers and trying to provide good service, because it's tough.
That's right. I've said this before. They should be called these like agreements should be called disagreements, because you never actually need them until you have a problem.
That's a contract agreement. It's a
disagreement.
Our
contract of disagreements.
Oh man, that's funny. I think everybody should have to be a server or a waiter or a waitress in a restaurant. What else were we saying yesterday? What is something everybody should have to do?
Knock on doors.
Knock on doors.
Sort of capacity. Yes. That's actually why the Mormons. That's one of the reasons they tend to be, amongst others. But I think one of the big ones is that they have to go through this. They have to go sell Jesus Christ for 2 years, door to door, on these little bikes and these silly little, shirt and tie and helmets. In areas where like they don't want you coming. They don't want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And if you can sell that, then God knows you can sell anything.
God does know if you can sell. Literally. He's been persecuted for a long time, and people have said no. Honestly, Mormons, they would be great. They would be great salespeople for your team, because you have to build up kind of like some muscle memory to be able to like do that over and over again, and get over the hurdle of being rejected no matter what you're doing. And then I've always thought that strippers would also make really great real estate agents.
Well, yeah, I mean, for a couple of reasons.
Yeah. I mean, removing all of that, of their current work. I mean, they're salespeople. Anybody who's got the ability to cold call a person into their face, they're great salespeople. Yep. Same thing with homeless people. Like if you can approach this, obviously we just need to change the addiction, the vice. That's it. We just need to take out this vice with a new, more healthy vice that you want to like supercharge up, but you've already got the muscle memory of going and asking.
Yeah. I don't know if this was a thought of mine, like a daydream, or maybe this was a dream, or maybe this was something I heard and I can't remember. It's one of those three. But strategy of like turning whether they're homeless or they're just like, asking for money on the street corner, turning them into like mini walking billboards all around town for like.
Yeah, totally. We have to give them jobs. We have to give them jobs.
QR code on their shirt.
Yes, like eyewear. Yes, seriously.
Yeah, or like we do like apartments for rent. Like, say you're trying to do like a big lease, or you're trying to like what's it called?
Listen, having homeless people walk around marketing housing is a bad PR. Is
bad optics. Okay, so maybe this is better. So like it can be really difficult to find commercial tenants, and so Strip Mall Guy, great follow on Twitter. he has a really aggressive leasing campaign that he does to fill his vacant units in strip malls, which are all, like restaurants, dentist offices, things like that, not housing. But they'll do a lot of guerrilla marketing in the area rather than just like listing it on the MLS with a local broker. He'll send in his team. He'll fly them to a market. He does deals all across the country. So a guy lives in New York City, like, I don't know where his team is, but say they're doing a deal in Phoenix. He'll fly his team to Phoenix for 2 weeks, and they'll mass market in the area with different strategies to find a tenant for their space. So something like that could be, a great strategy for finding a tenant. And like, you just put this little mini billboard on every street corner.
There's somebody at my house. Caleb, can you go see who's in the
You're not in
yard?
Hawaii? You're not.
Huh? No, remember I teleported back to Holyoke once there was that interruption in service. No, I think we need to find like small contract service labor opportunities for the homeless, because it's like, if you don't have a place to register your address, like, you can't get an ID. You can't do anything without an ID. So I we've talked about this. I have some creative ideas for like kind of like solving, or like a lily pad for solving homelessness, because it's all you got to focus on rehabilitation. But like, they need a tiny micro housing quarters that they can call their own consistently. That way they can get an ID and then actually get a job. And we need to have like, we need to figure out how to like spread contract labor out to the masses kind of like easily. Little people that, here, $20 to come do this, $20 to clean that, $50 to do this, like little tiny odds and ends. I don't know.
You could you can give them individual QR codes for whatever you're marketing, and if the lead comes through and like whatever you're marketing, right, it could be any sort of service, and a close gets booked through one of their leads, then they get
and they can get 100% because they can just get a digital card.
Exactly. So it's like you're advertising for painting, right? We did painting or gutter cleaning or whatever, and you have these people all around town. Number one, you're going to have now brand recognition everywhere because they're all holding up your sign. And then, they all have their own QR code. Fun thought.
Caleb was messaging and saying like, this is a Black Mirror episode. They did that with the brain implant.
Oh, well, we're talking about brain implants, just signs with QR codes.
They're a couple steps ahead. Honestly, we have to jump Harrison in a minute because we have this investor call. Normally, everybody, we talk about real estate and we look at housing opportunities that are available for sale that could be good investment deals. We're a real estate development company. But we've noticed that we get much more action in the chat when we actually loosely talk about real estate.
Sorry, we dropped the ball on finding a deal today, or finding that flip.
Yeah. Although we've come up with some new business strategy ideas. I think housing, especially in super intense, like really condensed communities, I think, and it seems like more people are just going to them anyway, is you're going to see more individualized advertising inside of, and this does sound scary, inside of your living quarters and inside of the building that you live in. And effectively the advertising becomes a subsidy of the building to lower the cost of housing and increase density.
Yeah. All right, we got to jump.
All right. I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks. Bye.